We will now commence this session brought to you by the Registration, Recognition, and Certification Board. I am Warren Anderson, and I am the project officer for this agency shop order. So what I will do today is present a bit about the agency shop order, and then we will get into questions, and I will try to provide you with answers to your questions as best as possible. With me in the room here at the RRCB is Mr. Tate, who is the secretary to the board at the RRCB, and he will assist me in answering any of the difficult questions that you may pose to us this evening. So again, welcome to those of you joining us on the stream on YouTube, and certainly those of you who are with us in the Teams chat. I would like to advise everyone that this session is being recorded. It's being recorded in the Teams chat, and it will be recorded on YouTube as well. And we will publish the recording as content so that any members of the teaching service, bargaining units 1 and 2, that is those who are entitled to perform this ballot, will be privy to the information that is shared in this session. Firstly, just a comment on the style of presentation this evening. I'll be using the RRCB website, which features all of the information for members of the teaching service so that you can peruse at any time you deem necessary or you see fit to take in all the information. However, we are aware that everyone learns differently. Hence, we are having this conversation this evening so that persons can ask their questions if you've taken any material beforehand, or simply if this is your first time being advised on the agency shop order, what it is about, and everything related to it. So before we get into the questions, I'd like to take you through briefly the different elements of the agency shop order and the related ballot, right? First on the agenda is the party that is processing this agency shop order. It's the Registration, Recognition, and Certification Board, and we are referred to as the RRCB informally. And as you see here on our website, we certify, recognize majority trade unions and process other matters as required by the Industrial Relations Act. That said, I will now escort you through the agency shop order page here on the website, where we have a video for your viewing, which has basic information about the agency shop order, as well as a written guide that consists of all the elements relating to the agency shop order. I'll share with you right now that this information is derived from the Industrial Relations Act. Therefore, if you desire to examine the agency shop order further, you can visit our website under the Resources tab, and there you will find a download for the Industrial Relations Act, or you may very well Google it and find the Industrial Relations Act and do your investigations, make your comparisons on your own. So now I will navigate. So this is the agency shop order page. When you come on our website, you see the first tab, the first hero in your face is about the tutor agency shop order. And this link takes you directly to the tutor agency shop order page, where we have assembled all the information in a feed that is relevant to the agency shop order. Some of these posts have gone out in email directly to your inboxes, and some of them have been posted on our social media. But if you desire to take in all the information related to the agency shop order, you come directly to the page that relates to you, right? So moving right along, what is an agency shop order? What is the agency shop order about? In simple terms, it is an order applied for by a union to direct the members of a bargaining unit, or in this case, more than one bargaining unit, to alter the arrangement between the employees and the union, altering it in such a way that it now becomes an agency shop. So if we're altering it, what are we moving from? What are we transitioning from? In our case, in Trinidad and Tobago, the arrangements are for open shops. So an open shop is where the arrangement between the union and the employees is one such that an employee has the option to join a union or not. Alternatively, there are closed shops in some parts of the world, and in a closed shop, being an employee means that you must join the union. As far as I'm aware, we do not have any closed shop arrangements when it comes to employment or the labor market in Trinidad and Tobago. So in the teaching service, we operate by an open shop. And in this open shop, the registered majority union is the tutor, Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, right? And if you're looking at the page right now, there ought to be a comma here, right? So this is the Association of Unified Teachers. And so tutor has applied for an agency shop. They have applied to the RRCB to make an order onto the bargaining units. Tutor is the recognized majority union for 2 bargaining units in the teaching service. We refer to these bargaining units as bargaining unit 1 and bargaining unit 2. Loosely, bargaining unit 1 contains teachers, right? And bargaining unit 2 contains administrative staff. For a deeper insight into who the titles, the job titles that are contained within these bargaining units, which are delineated in certificates at the RRCB, it is outlined in the 1st and the 3rd schedule in the Education Act. Right? So that is what an agency shop is, and that is what an agency shop order is about. It is a directive applied for by the union. So what is the directive about? What is the directive or order about? Well, if we're moving from an open shop where everyone is entitled to make a choice whether or not to join a union, in the agency shop, everyone is now entitled to representation by the union. How is this so? Well, you have members who are paying dues, but everyone else who is not a member pays what is referred to as an agency fee. In some territories, they refer to this as an agency fee, right? And the order is made in such a way that the agency fee is the equivalent of the union dues. So if the union dues is $100, the equivalent of that with the agency fee becomes $100, right? And it may be altered from time to time as applied by the union if the agency shop order is successful. Every 2 years, the union has the ability to reapply. So that is what an agency shop order is. Why does it concern you? Why does it concern every member of the teaching service? It is so, to be very clear, the agency shop order is not only for tutor members. The Act is set up in such a way that before the RRCB could make this order final, we must refer to the bargaining unit. In other words, the bargaining unit must have a say. So going from the beginning, the union applies, RRCB receives the application and reviews it to determine if the union is suitable, right? One of these attributes in terms of suitability is ensuring that the certificate is up to date. So they are in fact the registered majority union, right? RRCB reviews it and upon review approves the order, but only provisionally. The operative word being provisional, meaning that the order will be made final providing that the ballot attains a 2/3 majority. And that is why we are here today. Because on the 5th of June, less than a week from now, a ballot facilitated by the RRCB will be run. And at the end of the day, the ballot will be run between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. And when 5 p.m. arrives, we will be able to determine if the order, if the ballot is favorable, if the members of the bargaining unit are in favor of the agency shop order, or if they are not, right? So why do unions apply for agency shop orders? Well, from the perspective of the union, it is about fairness. Fairness how? Union members pay dues, and they may have the view that we are contributing financially, we are doing the work through our executives, through our shop stewards, through our members, and if we achieve benefits by bargaining with the employer, everybody benefits, everybody in the bargaining unit. So in order to mitigate a perception of unfairness from the union perspective, a union may apply for an agency shop order to balance the scales. In other words, under the agency shop, everyone is now making a contribution to the union. And therefore, as provided in the Act, everyone is entitled to representation. What a union member now looks like would have to be defined by the union, but everybody having paid this fee, having contributed on a monthly basis, you are now entitled to representation if the ballot receives a 2/3 majority and the RRCB makes the agency shop order final. Upon the making of the agency shop order being final, communication is sent to the employer to make arrangements for the contribution to be deducted from every employee. This is if the ballot is favorable, right? If the ballot is not, if the bargaining unit is not in favor of the agency shop order, then the provisional order is cancelled and the union can only apply after 2 years for another agency shop order, right? So that is the process. That is what an agency shop order is about, and that is why the RRCB has sent you these emails and these communications. So now, a bit of insight into the ballot itself. This ballot consists of approximately 14,000 members. When we combine bargaining unit 1 and 2, approximately 14,000 participants in the ballot. The RRCB has never received an application for bargaining units of that magnitude. So this is the first time in history that a ballot of this size is being run. In order to ensure the highest accuracy, efficiency of the ballot in terms of tallying, right? In order to avoid any discrepancies, etc., the RRCB has embarked on an online ballot. So unlike a manual ballot, where you may have had, say for instance, if it was a small bargaining unit of 20 persons, some organizations, the entire bargaining unit can be 20 or less. It would have been easier to go to this place of employment with a ballot box, a manual ballot box, run a secret ballot among the 20 persons. For this ballot, we are dealing with 14,000 persons across Trinidad and Tobago. Living in the age of digital transformation, of course, from a government point of view, the digital transformation has been on everyone's mind and certainly is being executed across the board. And also considering risks such as the pandemic and recurring instances of the pandemic. And through an online ballot, we are able to gain all these benefits, right? Efficiency, effectiveness. That is what it is about. So we're here with an online ballot. So unlike a manual ballot box, how do you perform the online ballot? Simple. A secure link will be sent by our ballot service provider to your email address. Your email address becomes part and parcel of your identity. It becomes a part of your identity. How so? Your unique information in terms of your employee number, which is unique to each and every one of you, is tied to one email address. So it becomes an effective way to issue an online ballot to you. Can you perform the ballot using a Gmail or a Hotmail account that anybody can mount on their own? No. Why? Anybody can make a Gmail account. In my instance, somebody could make Warren Anderson 12345 and say, I am Warren Anderson, please send me the link to the ballot. And if we make the mistake and send it to this person, we could violate the right of the authentic employee to perform the ballot. So to eliminate that risk, we cannot send the link to a custom-made email account. The URL will be distributed to the authentic employer issued email address. So there are a lot of controls in that. One, the employer can verify that this is the email address and this is the identity of the person. So over the past couple of weeks, we would have done these verifications, right? The RSCB has set up an app at the site list.app, list.rrcb.gov.tt in order for you to interface with and perform the verifications. We extended the initial deadline for this, and that would have come to an end yesterday. And now, as much as today, we've received the verifications from the authorities, and now we can reach out to persons who would have indicated that they are missing on the ballot, right? We could indicate through the communication with the employer, yes, you are entitled to the ballot, and we will now add you, or no, your attempt to be added to the ballot is not valid because you have not met the criteria. You are not a part of the bargaining unit as defined by the RRCB, right? Or as defined by the certificate, and you are not eligible in accordance with the relevant date of persons who are entitled to perform the ballot. That is to say, in the case of this ballot, persons who were employed as of 2021, is June, I believe, right? 2021.
2022. So June 2022.
Okay, right? So as at the relevant date, persons who were not employed there will not be able to perform the ballot. So you were hired afterwards, you're not able to perform the ballot, right? And these persons will be contacted after the relevant review has been performed. So on the tutor page, we have these dates outlined for you, right? The list app is still here. After today, we may not accept additions to the list simply because of the process to confirm. We have to send it to the employer. The employer must do the relevant checks. We have to upload it into our database, load it onto the software, and it's a process. Therefore, we cannot do these, we cannot take these inputs on ballot day, right? Or right before ballot day. We needed to allow ourselves that time to get this done. And as you see on the timeline, we are having this Q&A now. So next up is the actual ballot day, and the official results will be considered by the board and released on the 12th of June. Right, so the ballot, if you didn't know, on the 5th, and it is between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. We are asking everyone to please check your email inbox and ensure that it is working beforehand. Ensure that it is working. Ballot day is not the day to check your email for the first time in months. If you need to get it reset because you have not used it and your password is not working, now is the time to perform these checks, because it will not be sent to any other email but this email. By forfeiting access to your email inbox, you will effectively be given up the right to perform the ballot, right? Right, and on the page, we have a lot of guidance on the page for those who, prefer to perform due diligence on their own. Before you is a sample of what the ballot would look like. So you click the link in your email inbox, this page comes up, and it will be targeted towards either persons in bargaining unit 1 or 2, and you simply need to click yes or no. This exercise has been tested, and on average, it takes 5 minutes, as long as you have a device and a working internet connection, right? And that's it, basically, in terms of the agency shop order, the RRCB's role in the agency shop order, why a union would apply for an agency shop order, and what the process is. When the order is made final, there are some other details in terms of what happens to the contribution. the contribution by default is, according to the Act, 50% automatically goes to the union. The other 50%, the employee must approve it going to the union. So you have a choice further where you must inform, and the employer must do the relevant, set up the relevant mechanism in order to confirm whether an individual employee prefers the other 50% to go to the union, or if they prefer to, according to the Act, go to a charitable fund or to the Cyprian Labor College, right? And that's it for now. I think I will open up the question and answer segment at this moment. And I will start by a question that was sent via Facebook, right? So earlier today, we asked persons to indicate if they have any questions early on. So we had one valiant individual submitting a question, and we thank you for your contribution. We won't name any names. So any questions that come in via any other channels, this was sent to us in secret. So we're already in the habit of you know, maintaining that secret ballot attitude, right? And the question is, for persons who have religious restrictions in terms of contributing to a union, what happens if the majority is met and the agency shop order is made final, and that 50% is now deducted automatically? Essentially, the question indicated that it would be a violation of their religious belief, right? So I have Mr. Tate here, and I would ask Mr. Tate, Mr.
Yes.
Brendan Tate, what is your response to such a question?
Well, we respect the person religious. We respect the person religious view. But what happened? Because the closed shop is an illegal system. In other words, a closed shop means that once you are in employ of the employer, you have to be a member of the union. But our constitution say that you have a right to join an association or not. So when they are framing this Industrial Relations Act, they realize that, listen, we cannot have a closure because it's illegal. Right? We also realize that when the union negotiates, everybody what they could benefits. But they realize that in the interest of negotiating, the union, you know, has a level of expense. So the framers, they will listen, here what we'll do, right? We will have an agency shop order where the total people that will be in the bargaining unit will be allowed to vote. And once more than 2/3 of those people vote, then, and they vote yes, then you'll have an agency shop order. So 50% will go to the union and 50% either the Industrial Relations Fund or that. So
It's the remedy for
the remedy. Now, if someone doesn't have as a problem, one is free to write the board indicating, you know, that listen, the agency shop is violating my rights or whatever, and the board will treat with it. If it is, you can vote no if you so desire. If you don't want to vote, that is also your right. But when the results come out, and if the results is not what you like, then your first step is to write the board And then after that, if you don't like what the board saying, you can look to see whatever avenues you can get. But that is the law, and that is what we have to apply it.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. All right, we have some questions coming in from all areas. So that was the question that came in before via Facebook. Now we will check the chat on Teams and answer the first question there. What measures will be put in place to ensure single votes? Right, great question. The application issues unique codes per vote, right? Unique codes per vote. So every link that is sent out, it is not a general link. So for instance, you received a general link to this session today. It looks the same. Everybody got it in their inbox. It's the same across the board. With this online ballot, every URL that is sent out is unique to each individual, right? And so when you click on that link, you perform your ballot and it registers it as this person who is assigned via this email, which we have confirmed with the employer, has cast their ballot. Only they have access or to their email account, and only they should perform the ballot. And that is how we know. That is how we know it is only single votes. Not only that, the software keeps all the votes anonymous. So neither us, tutor, the board, nobody, the vendor, nobody can see who has cast a vote and how they have casted the vote. It is secret ballot, right? So I've seen more questions coming in on the Teams, but I want to be equitable because we also have questions on YouTube and some persons are sending questions on Facebook as well. So I will go to YouTube now, and I see one question saying, well, this question is a bit contentious. This question is a bit contentious. So I think I may have to skip that question, especially since it doesn't, I can't tell if that name is a legitimate name employee or not. So Mr. New Koob, if that's your name, I apologize. But the RRCB is not in a position to answer that question. That question is a question for the tutor to answer, right? We are facilitating the ballot and we are therefore empowered to answer such questions. So I will go to the next question in YouTube. The agency shop order mentioned a ballot. They were referring to a physical ballot. Is this online poll legal? Yes, certainly. If you take a look at the Industrial Relations Act, it outlines, it prescribes that the secretary of the board may conduct the ballot in any manner deemed suitable, right? And in this event, it is an online ballot for all the reasons that I've outlined before, right? To answer that question, I see that was from Subero. Can't tell from the full name if it's Mr. or Miss Subero. So now I'm going to the Facebook questions. Right, so we have a question here. Who chooses the charity? Right, and this is the good thing about this exercise. Most it's a very legal process. And so most of the deliverables, most of the activities are always guided by the Industrial Relations Act. So this charity was not chosen by the RRCB. It is actually prescribed by the Industrial Relations Act, and it is very specific about where the money should go, either to the Cipriani Labor College or to this charitable fund that must be set up, right? And again, on the RRCB website, we have the act, so you can take a look at it yourself under the section agency shop orders, right? So that's the question there. So I think we've exhausted all the Facebook questions. Going to come right back to going to come right back to the team chat, right? And one thing I would say, I would reiterate that all this information has been shared in multiple ways. The employer, according to the Act, must issue the notice prepared by the RRCB, must issue this notice, right? The employer has confirmed that the issue was noticed and the RRCB has made the relevant investigation. So that's one way where you, the participants in the ballot, the employees, and I would argue the main way, well, I don't have to argue, it is the main way according to the Act, where you receive notification of the ballot, right? Notice was prepared by the RRCB. Everything is well defined in the notice. We went a step further to provide the elements of the notice in graphic form, in a flyer, and in a guide. There's a written guide with that as well. If for some reason you have not come across the notice, the RRCB has taken the step to provide it on this website, right? And we went further, not just to mount any website, but to ensure that we mounted a website that identified us as a legitimate authority with the gov.tt domain and everything else that comes with it. So you can rest assured that the RRCB is a legitimate body. We are independent body, however, right? And we are not associated with the employer, right? And therefore, that is how we conduct this business. So I'll return to the team chat now and pick up where I left off. If the vote is successful, actually, what happens? So I'm seeing the next question. What happens if only 2,500 people vote on the day and vote yes? Then what? The Act has been clear that the ballot, the order requires a 2/3 majority vote. That 2/3 is taken to mean 2/3 of the whole, right? 2/3 of the whole. Everybody in the ballot, approximately 14,000 people, according to my count, right, has a right to vote. And therefore, the 2/3 of that amount is what is required for the ballot to be successful. So that's that question. I don't think we have, let me just check YouTube here. Right. So I'll go back and forth between Facebook and YouTube. Warren, someone asked, who will ensure the validity of the results? Great question. Right. So the results, once well, first of all, we've invited observers from each stakeholder in the process. So on the day of the ballot, right here in the boardroom of the RRCB, we will have observers from the applicant, which is tutor. We will have observers from the employer, both the Ministry of Education and the THA, Division of Education, Research and Technology. And we will have representatives from the CPO, only at the RRCB. We'll have officers from the RRCB, right? And the ballots will be presented in clear view for everyone to see anything associated with performing the ballot. At the end of the ballot, the service provides an audit report for us to see everything that took place in the ballot. Usually, some persons use the service to add voters on the day, and the audit tracks all of this for you, right? So that is where the validity comes in. We are able to see that the email addresses, because they provide a key to you through that unique link. So if someone is claiming, I didn't perform the ballot, we can track the key to see if they open the link and perform the ballot. So it's a very tight process. It's very tight. And these are some of the benefits of online. The results will be produced in minutes. However, they will not be published in minutes as the board must review. And we have also set up certain contingencies in the event of any mishaps on the day. Right? However, the observers will be privy to the results immediately. Right. So I'll come back to the chat. So answer the 2500 question. Good afternoon. If the vote is successful, when will it become effective? That's it. It's a good question for you.
The ballot will be conducted on the 5th. The observers will see the results on the 5th. The next week it goes to the board for ratification, and then it takes effect. So the next week will be the 12th. Right? Once it is successful, it becomes there. Everybody will get it. The union, the employer, it will be official, and that is it.
So, right. So someone in YouTube is asking, good afternoon. Do you all know about the 2 hours that will be given to teachers? Yes, we do know, because that came from a request on the employer by the RRCB, right? So effectively what it's meant to do is you have these hours from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., right? And it gives you 2 hours, right, where you can perform the ballot without disruption. As I indicated earlier in the session, ballot takes approximately 5 minutes to perform. However, this 2 hours is a contingency in the event that a person might be suffering from device issues or Wi-Fi internet issues, right? However, we expect persons to attempt to perform the ballot at your place of employment, right? So it's designed in a way to not disrupt, right? However, the employer has issued this provision for the 2 hours. So there's a series of opportunities that a person can take. Let's say, for instance, I try to perform the ballot at work. Work has no Wi-Fi, then I know I must go to another site. I may go home to perform it. I may go somewhere close by the coffee shop, rituals, etc. Ideally, I have Wi-Fi on a device that I'm accustomed going on my email at work, and I could perform the ballot there. If the ideal is not present in terms of a device, well, I go to a device that I'm comfortable checking my email on, right? That may be another desktop or laptop device at your place of employment, right? Or it may be a personal device that you work with on the day. A lot of people have their email set up on their personal device and whatnot, right? So the online ballot is set up in a way so as to not disrupt your operations. However, the contingency is there, and the employer has agreed to provide those contingency hours in the event that any mishaps would occur, right? Coming back to the chat here. Right, I'm seeing a question related to the charity. Okay, I have some questions before that. Is there any provision for a spoiled ballot? For example, a member voted against the order, but immediately on submission, he or she wants to vote for the agency shop order. Let me read that back. Is there any provision for a spoiled ballot. For example, a member voted against the order, but immediately upon submission, he or she wants to vote for the agency shop order. I think before clicking on that link, individual employees need to come to a decision, right? And the ballot is designed in such a way, let me display it again. It's designed in such a way that all the information, the relevant information on the ballot is provided before you get to the question, right? So we have a complaint system and issue system set up on the day, but only reasonable complaints will be entertained. And just off the top of my head, I don't think it's reasonable where someone takes the time, reads all this, reads the question carefully as they are advised to, makes a choice, right? And there's a control after this. After this page, the software asks you, are you sure? Please confirm. Please confirm. So you have an opportunity. If a person, changes their mind, they have an opportunity right then and there to click back and go and change their answer. But I think it would be unreasonable to expect that a person read all of this, clicked yes or no, clicked confirm, and then would like to recast their ballot, right? So that's my response on that. Going back to YouTube here. Is this vote for all teachers, including non-members? Great question, right? So this was made clear at the beginning of the session, but I'm happy to reiterate because people see tutor and think it's for tutor members, right? It's not for tutor members only. It is for all the members of the teaching service in bargaining units 1 and 2, right? We have the details. We have the details of the certificates right here. Certificate 1, which we refer to bargaining unit 1, all persons holding posts in the first schedule of the Education Act. All persons, right? Certificate, the second bargaining unit, certificate number 4, 2019, the monthly rated employees whose positions are listed in the third schedule. All. That is the fairness built into the act, where it says we can't just grant a union and agency shop. They must ask the employees first, and the employees must say yes in a majority, right? Right. Back to the teams here. How long can the secure ballot link remain open before an option is selected? Once you have not cast your ballot, the vote will not be casted, right? So, but I wouldn't take that risk. But things happen. Maybe the internet feed dropped, right? But you did not click confirm. As long as you did not confirm the vote, it will not be casted. So a person, if they so choose, can take whole day. But do we want to take that risk with our vote, with our right to vote? I don't advise that it is a good thing. The ballot takes approximately 5 minutes to perform. Please perform it. Aim to perform it within that time, right? All the materials that you see on the ballot is provided on the website, so you have opportunity to read it beforehand. And therefore, you can come into this, and if a person so chooses, they can perform the ballot in seconds and all, right? This has been tested, and it is possible. So back to the YouTube questions. All teachers, right? Yes, the voting process is right. Some people answered in the chat there. Was there any attempt to visit districts prior to this online session so that more participation may have been encouraged? Thank you very much for this question. This is a great question. I like to answer this question. because we have different parties in the ballot, right? The Act prescribes that notification of the ballot is the employer's responsibility. They must post the notice in an inconspicuous place at every place of employment. This is the employer. That is their role, apart from confirming the list, etc. Right? That is their role. RRCB's role is to facilitate the ballot. That is our role, to facilitate the ballot, right? However, in our goals and objectives for this project, we identified, that we would like to raise awareness as best as possible, right? Which we have done through the website, through communications in the newspaper, through the social media posts, right? And through most effectively, or most importantly, direct communication to your email addresses. Direct communication to your email addresses, and in our messaging that went out on the notice, persons were advised to check all the apparatus that we set up for you to verify information, right? You're getting 2 hours off. To take the 2 hours and not know why, right? So a certain level of awareness needs to be raised there as well. Why am I getting this 2 hours? Well, it's for the agency shop order. What is that about? Look, all the information is on the website, right? So that's our role, facilitating the ballot, providing the education on it through our website for anybody who is curious, right? Participation, however, participation in the ballot is the role of the applicant who seeks favor, who seeks the favorable majority. Applicant who seeks that favorable majority drives participation in the ballot, right? And in this case, that is tutor. Simply put, I want your vote. I will urge you to vote in favor, to participate in it, and to get that majority, right? However, in terms of being informed of your rights, the RRCB has provided the information. We have furnished the employer whose responsibility is to provide this to everyone in the ballot, and all these activities were performed, right? So I hope that answers the question. Returning to the Teams chat, I may have missed it. Is the voting anonymous? Yes. The Act, once again, prescribes that the ballot must be taken in secret, so the vote is anonymous, right? And we've done the necessary to provide all the information to the stakeholders to prove the anonymity that will be furnished to each participant in the ballot, right? How can see no question here? How can they guarantee we get the 2 hours off on Monday, right? This is a matter of knowing your rights. So the notices were issued to every place of employment, be it school or office, right? And everyone was advised of the 2 hours. We confirmed this with the stakeholder, with the employer, right? That everyone was advised, evidence was sent in, and that kind of thing, right? So if persons are aware that you are to get 2 hours off, then and you're not getting it, and it can't perform the ballot because of the lack of getting that 2 hours, then we have a complaint system set up where you will be able to complain. You come on the website and you file your complaint, and all the complaints that we receive on the day will be reviewed, and we will take the relevant action in terms of ensuring that you are able to perform the ballot. You are able to exercise your right. Right? Let me see. So that come into the website on the day if you experienced issues, and filling out our issues form is very important to take note of. Right, Teams. Will there be a pretest to ensure that persons are able to access the voting site on the day? We've worked with all the relevant stakeholders and we performed several tests, right, and put in place several contingencies. And the first point of call is advising persons, check your email beforehand. Check it beforehand, check that you have access. We are confident that the emails will be delivered to the inboxes that are assigned, right? We performed 2 small tests, one with about 600 participants and one with about 20 participants. The 600 was at Trinidad and we did the 20 in Tobago, right? And we also did several technical tests along the way. The only thing that could prevent a person from receiving the ballot on the day is if their email address is wrong and they did not take the opportunity beforehand to verify their email address. Thankfully, we had several persons doing just this, reaching out to us and saying, listen, my email address is wrong, change it to this. And because they were communicating through the authentic email, we were able to see, yes, this is in fact the correct email. It must be changed on the system. This person has now secured their ability to perform the ballot, right? And this is what we've been urging. The other things that could perhaps go wrong is a lack of a device and a lack of internet, right? We have phone numbers available. If a person does not have internet on the day, they could call the phone number and file their complaint, right? Or they could go online, and if they have internet but they can't access the ballot, and send their information in, right? We are very wary of persons overloading the system on the day. So we can't echo enough, right? We only have so much resources. We can't echo enough. If you know anybody, if we have a wide spread of people across schools here, if you know you're in the representative association and you know there are still people who may not be aware, please ask them to do these checks beforehand. The day of the ballot is not the day to check your email for the first time, right? Another check that was done, another test that was done to see the open rate on emails. So far, 2 emails have gone out for us to see what kind of access to the inboxes we have. But for those of you who are aware, if an email is bad, you get a bounce on it, right? The email is not accepted. If it's a good email, but it's still a typo, so it's not the actual person's email, then it will go through. But that's why we're asking people to check these things beforehand so that we could know, right? Right, I'll go back to YouTube now. Right, some schools have not received the hard copies of the yes, no. Let me make sure I'm not skipping any question. How is the time off to vote being granted? Is it at the principal's discretion? Is it that the teacher leaves school to vote? The vote is online, right? So somebody should only be leaving, ideally, leaving to vote if they experience problems. They experience problems with the ballot, or you're at a site that typically does not have internet, you have to leave, right? So from my perspective, all we have done, all the RCB has done is advised the Ministry of Education and the THA, you know, to grant these 2 hours. From there, I guess I would have to lean on the side of the principal's discretion, right? But again, provided the information, and hopefully persons are interested in protecting their rights to perform the ballot, right? That is why we set up these contingencies. Right, next question from Teams. Where can one access the laws regarding the agency shop and one's choice or right? So what we've done on our website, on the tutor webpage, when you go to rrcb.gov.tt, immediately the first banner in your face, let me just show it to you all. When you come on rrcb.gov.tt on our homepage, we made it easy. We put the first thing in your face, tutor agency shop order, right? And so you get a brief from there of what the agency shop order is about. To the end of that, back to agency shop order, which is just, this is a general link. It's not directly related to tutor, but this is where we've provided general information on agency shop orders, right? So we've taken all the relevant parts and summarized them here for you. However, if you want a copy of the act, you can go to resources on the RRCB website, and there we have the act, or you can Google. Internet is being a bit slow now. Or you can Google right? So we have the Industrial Relations Act here. The site was loaded properly. You would see it in its true form, but you are able to download the act on the RRCB website, right? Alternatively, a person can Google Industrial Relations Act and look for the section on agency shop orders, right? So that's that question. Sure. Just give me a moment here. Seems to be having some. Right? So that's that question. We've come to the end of the session officially. However, I will entertain 20 minutes more of questions. I'm still at work. And I'd like to join you in being in the comfort of my home as well. So 20 minutes extension just to take some of the other questions, right? However, feel free with your burning questions, reach out. We will mount a FAQ on the Twitter page, right? Feel free to reach out with your questions directly, and we will try our best to answer them for you, right? Right, let me just go through the YouTube here now. What other trade? Just hold on. Very clear and well-paced the delivery of material. Thank you very much. Hi everyone. Okay, which other trade union in Trinidad has this agency shop? Is that it? You want to answer? Any other unions have been successful in attaining agency shops?
The National Union of Government and Federated Workers has an agency shop order.
Okay, right. So that's one for example. And I am aware that others would have applied, but I'm not sure if they were successful in the past. However, I'll reiterate, this is by far the largest, the greatest magnitude for an agency shop order that the RRCB has had to process, right? Someone is asking, so this would close the gap between the total number of teachers and total number of tutor members, after 2/3 majority, then all teachers would have union dues deducted from salaries, right? So we have to make a distinction here between union dues and the contribution for the agency shop order, right? The Act doesn't prescribe, the Act doesn't outline for us the difference between someone who is simply paying the contribution and somebody who is a member, right? But just this informally through my imagination, I imagine that a union member, they may have access to certain perks, right? And the person who is not a member of making a contribution, because they're not a member of the union, they may not have access to the perks, right? Sorry? Yeah, sure.
Right. Now, if you are not a member of the union and have an agency shop order, right, you are entitled for representation of all workers in the bargaining unit if the tutor is successful with either bargaining unit number 1 or 2 or all of them. Any grievance that a teacher has, the tutor have no choice, but they have to represent you.
Correct, right?
Yes.
And that leads me to another, in the readings, some have identified that, this is a form of protection for employees as well, who may have been, wary of identifying with the union, etc., from fear of being targeted by the employer and that kind of thing. Now that everybody is entitled to representation, I no longer have this fear of being targeted by the employer, right? But that was just to cover the distinction between union dues and this contribution that is being made, right? But yes, after the 2/3 majority, all teachers who are in one bargaining unit would have to make this contribution, right? And there are 2 bargaining units for this ballot. One that refers loosely to administrative staff, and one for teachers, quote unquote teachers, right? Meaning there are other job titles besides teachers under the bargaining unit. We have a lot of questions still. For clarity, those who believe that this is a very recent development, how long ago has this agency shop order been in the works, right? Since
72.
1972 was the first application by tutor.
No tutor. No, this is the first application.
This is the first. When did they first apply?
No, they applied before.
Right. So tutor applied before. Right. So the application from tutor came in before. However, the RRCB needed the resources, and due to a lack of resources being sanctioned by our line ministry, am I correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Right, the line ministry, the order could not reach the provisional stage. So the RRCB lobbied and lobbied, certainly on the prompting of the tutor as well, in order to get it going forward. And finally, the line ministry disbursed the funds, and here we are. Right? Yes. Right. So due to the magnitude, it's very expensive to do this agency shop order. Right. How can any other member present respond to questions? So we may all be on the same ground. Okay, that's not directed to me. Can I use my personal email? I think I answered that already. You can't use a personal email because we have no way of verifying that you are the authentic individual behind this. We cannot go to the Ministry of Education or the THA and ask, is this email authentically linked to this employee number and this employee name? And these are the attributes related to this employee. We cannot ask that of the employer because they do not have a collection of personal emails tied to your identity. So for all intents and purposes, your employee email is your identity in this ballot. It is how you access the secure link, right? And again, I can't stress it enough. persons need to ensure that on the day you're not looking in Gmail, Hotmail, anything else for that link. You need to look in your employee email, right? Either your FAC account or gov.tt account, for those in administration, right? A unique link, right, will be sent to everyone, right? Right, so we have some people chipping in on the answers there. Let me see, someone is saying they do not think they got their question answered above. Let me just search for it so that we can be fair. Okay, I see it now. Some schools have not received the hard copies of the voters list to check their, no, I answered this, to check their names. What would be the repercussions of such a delay? I see the full question now. Apologies for missing the question before. What are the repercussions to the notice being delayed? That's it.
The employer assured us that the notices went out. We made checks in schools, and what we discovered that principals received it, and for some reason they did not post it up. Right? So we tell them they have to post it up. We have been checking with the Ministry of Education, and what is knowing is that what we found out, even checking and even checking in the schools and all, teachers are aware of the time off for the 2 hours, but they're not seeing the list. So if you all have what they could say the time off, that all of them went together. So I'm saying that everything went out to the principals, and it is the principals to put it up. So my advice is for the tutor, there's tutor reps in the schools. The tutor reps have to ensure that the list is there. We don't have the resources to check the 611 schools. We told them that from the beginning, and we continue to indicate that, and all parties has agreed that we do not have the resources to check all the schools.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. And right, so that is not to say the responsibility of posting the notices on tutor, right? But what it is a complaint system, right? And certainly we've made the communications, we have done our reviews, our checks, we've shared the information with tutor, and we are still awaiting the a list on schools that have not posted it. When we have this hard itemized list, we can now say, employer, this is the evidence. What is going on here, right? So far, we've received soft information that the lists have not been posted, and we have made all the communications to the employer, right? And said, listen, we got the feedback, the list is not being posted. What is going on? Please confirm. So we have the confirmations in writing that it has been distributed and that it has arrived at the site. So as far as we know, apart from checking with the employer, confirming with the employer, doing our random checks, there's nothing that the RRCB could do to go and take the package from the principal and say, post it up. So we are relying on a system of complaints. If you complain, such and such secondary school has not done their part to post it, we could now say, employer, this is what has happened, you understand? Did you in fact send the information and send the instruction for it to be posted 10 clear days before the ballot? Was that done? Right? If they confirm that it was done and there's a grievance, then we will have to treat with the grievance accordingly. Right? So I hope that answers the question now. Yes. Hope that answers the question. We're kind of running out of time. Let me see. Right, so I see the question in the chat about arrive at this juncture regarding the agency order, and I hope I answered that question before. I didn't see the question before, but a response was given to that in terms of resources, in terms of the funds being needed, the funds that were needed in order to run the exercise. So it wasn't simply a matter of running the exercise. Resources needed to be applied in order to get it done. Right, who can access, right, if the money, who does not want to be a part of the, and is paying for legal matters on their own, will the union now take charge of the matter, even though the issue may be deemed as civil and not industrial, but it is between teachers on the workplace, example, a defamation suit. I believe, Mr. Tate could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's outside the scope of this conversation, right? That question is outside the scope of the conversation. So I just have a few more questions in the team chat, so I'll just run through them quickly. Right. So do I have to pay both union fees and those fees? This is a great question, certainly people have asked, right? And how would this be treated? So I'm already paying union dues. The agency shop order has been made final. Am I now paying union dues and this agency fee? No. Correct. So it's no. No, you will not, because it's about being equitable. So union members are already paying union dues. Non-union members are paying nothing, contributing to the union. What the order effectively does is bring the non-union members here. Now everybody is paying, and now everybody is represented, right? Someone is saying, so therefore it is not anonymous. Please, please, Ms. Stewart, please clarify how it is not anonymous, and if you require any evidence to the contrary, we will certainly entertain your request for information. Please feel free to email us at ballot.rrcb@gov.tt. We will provide all the specifications and all the technical papers behind the anonymity of the ballot, right? Let me see, my school didn't get the listing either, so I urge staff to check their email to ensure their names are on the list. Thank you very much. No tutor members, right, okay. How is it equitable when non-union members enjoy all the benefits? I don't think that question is directed at me, right? And now I'll go to the tutor. So I'm closing off the questions from the Teams chat. And now I'm going to the YouTube to take some final questions, right? I realize I'm seeing any questions and answers, right? So on Teams, people were utilizing the chat, right? We have some questions in the questions and answers. So the chat was given priority and the questions and answers were an oversight. So some persons may have been putting questions there and it was not in focus, right? So apologies for that. I believe the software removes the older questions automatically. So I just run through some of the questions from there. If the money, so your questions will not be deleted on purpose. If the money is deducted from the teacher who does not want to be a part of the agency shop, right? We answered that question. Where can one access it, right? Okay, so everybody transferred their questions into the chat. And if the 2/3 do not vote, then the provisional order is cancelled, right? And the union has another 2 years to wait until they could apply for another agency shop order, right? Is it legal to force a worker to pay a union due? It is not a union due. It is an agency fee. That's one title given to it. And the act we are all guided by the Act here, right? So if someone has a grievance with the finality of the order, then taken up, there are two avenues, right? One, the Act says, if you are not represented, you can make a request to rescind the order, but you need 20% of the employees in the bargaining unit to support you, right? But that is a longer remedy for what you are asking. And I believe if someone is not in favor of the order individually and you feel like your rights are being encroached upon, you have the opportunity to take it up individually as a matter, right? Did the union ask members if they agree to apply to change from open to close? It's not a closed shop order, so it's not going to a closed shop order. There's no closed shop order. It's going from open to agency shop order, right? And in terms of your question, if the union asked members, that is a question for the union. However, the Act empowers the RSCB to ask you, right, before anything happens. So no union could wake up today and say, we want our agency shop. They have to come through the process and the ballot must be run. And that is a natural protection built into the Act to protect employees, right? Right, so that's it for Teams. Please allow me to go to the YouTube and draw closer to the end of the session. Right, certainly don't want to leave here too late, given that I'm in Port of Spain, and you know, we are guided by the front page of the papers on a daily basis. Right, for clarity, right, we answered that. Just making sure I didn't skip anybody. A unique link, right? Thank you, Mr. Gopi. Right, thank you, Ms. Castle. Right, out of possible 14,000 teachers, only about 180 teachers are logged on here. Why were physical visits not part of this educational drive prior to today's one-off online session? Thank you for your question. And again, we have to make a distinction. Well, first of all, let me start with this. The Act provides that the making of the agency shop order, once the provisional order is run, the RSCB has 28 days in which to run the ballot. 28 days in which we apply all our resources towards refining the voter list, because the Act is set up in such a way that we have to send out the voter list by the day the provisional order is made. We send that out the very next day, right? And during that time, we've been facilitating hundreds of requests to make changes to the voter list. It's an online ballot. We provided the education online, right? And the notifications that have to go out from the employer, right? And carries all the messages, all the education that we have attached to it, or to have reached every single site where there's an employee, right? So we're looking at resources, the application of those resources within a 4-week window. Within a 4-week window. The Act does not prescribe that the RRCB does an educational drive. This is extra that we have taken upon ourselves to drive the education of the ballot, right? The Act does not provide, it does not prescribe that we do this. The Act prescribes that we send notice to the employer and the employer posts the notice, right? Certainly this has been years in the making. So that is a good question in terms of why has the education on the agency shop order, why this has been placed for years and the educational agency shop order has not reached the individuals? Very good question. Very good question. Right? The order has been in the works for more than 10 years, right? So other people are saying, you know, it has been in the works for more than 10 years, right? So that's, if we could look at it that way, 10 years to educate the employees. What percentage of total teachers are needed to pass the agency shop order? 2/3. A 2/3 majority is needed according to the Act, right? And right, so about 9,400 teachers, right? Does a vote in support of the agency shop order mean an increase in fees due to tutor? This is not, the agency shop order doesn't deal with union dues, right? It doesn't deal with union fees. It simply deals with a contribution that is made to the union, right? That is the equivalent of the dues. Right, so right, I see someone answered it. There are 600 schools, only 6 executive members. We can't go to all these schools in such a short space of, I see someone is saying that, which means that there are only 6. I just want to read this back. But this wasn't directed to me. So I'm not sure of the organizational structure of the union, if it expands beyond 6 executive members, but the question was not directed to me. So I'll skip that one. Catherine John is saying a question was skipped. Let me just look for that quickly. Apologies, Miss John. I see message retracted next to your name. So I'm unable to see that question. Members will not pay any, right? So just some conversation there, no questions directed to us. Scheduling is one idea, given the right, could have done, right? Well, that's a conversation on what should have been done before, right? I'm impressed with the work of the RSCB. Thank you very much. Thank you it has certainly been a laborious ordeal. So we appreciate any commendations. Continue the pub. All right. Thank you very much. Definitely. Right. Some of the conversation is a bit choppy now. Apologies. Right. All right. So seeing that some visits were discussed at the General Council, of which somebody's a member there. Right. I don't think I'm seeing any other questions. Thank you. I'm seeing another comment in terms of the efforts of the RSCB. So thank you very much, right? I know we had some questions well in terms of promoting the ballot, but we said even to the tutor, the members of the executive, that, you know, meet with us, because we have done a lot of stakeholder engagement throughout the project from the time the project was sanctioned, a lot of stakeholder engagement, a lot of follow-ups to ensure that, you know, all the players did their part and that kind of thing. And we did say from the beginning, promoting the ballot, promoting the vote, in other words, is not in the RCB, where the viewers, the votes, the applicant that requires the 2/3 majority to be favorable for their application, there is where you drive participation, promotion. Similarly, for a general election or a membership election among an association, you don't, the returning officer is not responsible for getting everyone to come out and vote. That is on the candidates, right? So I hope that analogy provides some clarity in terms of the approach and the thinking, right? You expect the returning officer to set up the mechanism for the ballot, right? And certainly to notify persons of their rights, which in this case, the Act says the employer must do. And anything other than that, which we've done, and RSCB had no website before this project. We put up our website in order to ensure that people could see when they get the emails and get all the communications, that the RRCB is a legitimate thing. It's not a typo for RBC, right? And therefore you could perform and interact with us with confidence that this is a government authority that is performing these activities, right? So thank you very much, everyone, for taking the opportunity to come out this evening and ask your questions. We are very open here at the RRCB, so please, if you have any burning questions, please send it to the email addresses provided on the website, right? So on behalf of the board and Mr. Tate and everyone here at the RRCB, thank you very much for attending this evening, and we hope that awareness among the bargaining units is raised. It may not be your responsibility as an individual to go out and raise awareness, but what we would like to know that everyone, benefits from the entitlement as a member of the bargaining unit. Thank you very much. I will close the session now. Close the live session. All right. Take care, everybody.
How much we working with the